Hey gang, welcome back. So I thought I would share with you, because it stumps me a little bit here, how to use lights in the Shmup Creator engine. So a couple things that you probably want to do first, right, is you want to come into your effects object, and then you want to enable the light, and then you can, adjust the intensity, attenuation, how far it is. You can add blinking to it, and you can also add a color. And if you're like me, you'll get stumped when you're like, okay, cool. Where's my light? What happened? And so what we've done here, just to make it easier to see, is, and you can see the same thing here. So I basically have when player enters this volume, we turn on the light, but there's no light. So what's going on? So one of the things you need to do is you got to go to level properties. And, you go to level properties and you want to enable sprite lighting. So, sprite lighting, when you do enable it, will take and give you basically sunlight. So you can set the coordinates for that if you want, and the color and the intensity and all of that. So you can see here, if I set it to 0, then you can see how now it's lighting the world. So the other thing here is, and I think it's that. Yeah, okay, cool. So now you're like, okay, well, what's going on? Why can't I see my green light? And this is the other thing. So the other thing. So the other thing that you need to know is, remember, we're in a 3D engine, right? So if you come up here to perspective camera, you can see when I move it to the side, basically the background object, which is this, and the effects object are basically on the same layer. So if you come into the transformations editor, so by clicking here, which I just did, you can see that that the translation for the Y, which is the distance from the camera, is at 0. So if we change that to something positive like 4t, then you could see that when we go in, so now that's a light. Holy lights! So, all right, so that's the other thing. Okay, now a couple other things that are important to know, I believe. Let me see here. Does this work? Let's take a look here. Okay, so we got our enemy layer background. Just move this down real quick just to see. I don't think this gets any light, but we'll see in a second. Oh, it actually does get some light. Okay, cool. It's probably because it's so overblown. What if I set this to like 300 or 30? And you can see it's kind of subtle in this guy. That's why I went with the overblown, because it's easier to see. Okay, cool. Okay, so that does work. All right, so the cool part is when you've enabled sprite lighting. So basically this guy is an enemy object, and this guy here is a background object, right? So enemy type and background type. And then I could also just switch this to viewed by the camera. And there you go. So looks pretty cool. Just remember to change the vertical axes in the world of your effects emitter. You can also add other things. And the cool part about this is that the way it's lit, it doesn't, you don't obstruct the light. And who knows, like you can, you could create some interesting effects. Now, word of caution here is you don't want to put a million lights in your scene. So, your mileage may vary. There's, and so use them sparingly. But that is basically how you do it. And I think those were all the main things I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. See you next time.